Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den. With me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. For today's Tableside Chats, we are making a massive deviation from our usual standard tabletop gaming kind of selection and fare, and we're going to move on towards video games. Whether it's the Switch, the Wii, the Xbox One, the 360, PlayStation 4, the original PlayStation, or for the PC, for all you glorious PC gaming master race people out there, do graphics really matter? I mean, whatever system you might be playing on, graphics are constantly pushed as part of the pinnacle, be-all, end-all aspect of gaming. I mean, to the point that E3 and so many different announcement trailers are just so loaded with bullshots. Trailers that have the games with graphics just amped up to such an incredible degree, and then by the time we get them, they are usually nowhere near what's advertised, especially not with the high level of graphical fidelity that's advertised. The nitty-gritty, every last little bit of realistic detail just finely and lovingly crafted and put into the game. Does all of that really matter? Well, like with so many other things, it's context. It depends a little bit. What exactly are we going for here? If you're looking at anything from the Battlefield series or Call of Duty, Battlefield and Call of Duty have pushed a more realistic, more higher fidelity looking kind of graphics, and they want to push that graphical detail, just maximize and fine tune their engines to the point that the games just look absolutely brilliant each generation. Well, usually that's the goal, that's the idea, that's what they go for, and that's absolutely what they push. A lot of the developers, publishers, with all the advertisements that they throw out there, they really make a big deal about the rendering for the games, about how gorgeous everything looks. And certainly players get caught up in this too, taking a look at all the technical specs for the different consoles coming out. What do the systems look like? Is the PlayStation 5 going to be better? Or is the latest Xbox going to look better? Nobody really worries about Nintendo so much, but I'll get to that in a moment. Certainly, if you have a PC beats out all of that in terms of what it's able to do in terms of hardware, presenting graphics. I mean, you just can't beat it. I mean, it's just, you can do so much more with a PC. There's no getting around that. Although I like gaming on both, I'm not trying to say, declare that I am PC and PC is the best, only ever, greatest, whatever. I don't really care about that too much. I play what I want to play. I like what I like, and I like playing on Xbox, on PlayStation, on my computer. And I'm looking forward to getting a Switch. My wife and I both. She certainly wants to be playing the latest Animal Crossing game, and I don't blame her for that. It's a lot of fun. But again, do graphics matter? Does the highest quality graphics matter? In my opinion, and actually in the expert opinions of a lot of people out there, if you're really paying attention, no, it's not the graphics that necessarily matter. I mean, you can have the latest and greatest graphics out there, but those games that boast those, like anything from the Madden series, NHL, I'm not really into the sports games so much, if you can't tell. But the UFC games, the soccer games out there, they always go on and on about, the latest and greatest graphics here. This is the best rendering possible. Look at the exquisite detail here in Battlefield 5. All of these things. But these are games that get replaced not even generationally. Every year there's a new one coming out. So the graphics are just incrementally pushed a little bit more, and really, even though the graphics get pushed more and more, the games just steadily get worse and worse by most people's opinions, by the general opinion of most of the people playing these games, especially a lot of the older gamers. These games are worse because the gameplay isn't there. the quality of gameplay isn't there. The latest Madden game that came out, the latest NBA game that came out, both have numerous features stripped from them. They're hollow shells of the games that they used to be. I mean, several other YouTubers that I watch, like Angry Joe, for example, just talks about how he keeps going back to like the 2015 or 14, however many years back, goes back to play those more often because they're more feature complete. There's more gameplay options, and he's able to customize his teams more and fill out his rosters with all these different legendary football players. Whereas now, you keep having to do microtransactions, buying the in-game currency, and playing in the stupid little slot machine games that they have in there in order to have maybe a minuscule percentage of a chance at acquiring this legendary player that you want to get, or getting this gear for your customizable in-game avatar character that you create for whatever NHL or legacy story in-game sort of campaign thing that you might have going. All these things that used to be just in the game. You didn't have to worry about doing microtransactions and buying in-game currency. The gameplay's not there. Not like it used to be. And I really think gameplay trumps graphics in a lot of ways. At least the raw horsepower, high fidelity, uber top-notch, whatever nonsense they want to try to push onto us. I think gameplay trumps that quite a bit, but even more, well, just as important, if not more so, than graphics and gameplay is art direction. I think people confuse art direction and graphics pretty regularly. The layman gamer, I really think, does this a lot. I know certainly I did for the longest time. I thought of graphics and art direction as being the same thing, but they're separate, distinct creatures altogether. You can have an okay engine, but have a great art style and direction there that just makes your game visually distinct and makes it much more memorable in that regards too. You can take a mediocre vehicle, but you make it look interesting, you make it look distinct. It's maybe art direction is superfluous to some people, but I think it makes a big difference. And just as an example of that, several examples actually, Skyrim re-released constantly, re-released for the 360 with, its regular edition, its mastered edition, its complete edition, and then re-released for the Xbox One and on PC so many different times. It's been released so many times for the Switch, for the PlayStation. It gets re-released so much, and it keeps making Bethesda money every time they do it. And it's not the most graphically impressive game. In fact, it kind of lagged behind in terms of just raw graphical horsepower in comparison to other games when it originally released. And that only got more and more heightened the further along down the lines it released over the generations of different consoles. But its art direction, it's so rich, it's so alive. You look around in Skyrim, and you just see and get this sense of history to it all. Like, this is an ancient place with these ancient ruins. Even the cities that people still live in, they're crumbling. Sections are being rebuilt at different times, or they're inhabiting ruins of older civilizations. And it just looks incredible, despite the fact that graphically it's not that impressive, but it's the art direction that really makes it distinct, and I think saves it on top of its incredible gameplay. Back before Bethesda decided going the live service subscription route was the best way to go. That was a horrible Jim Sterling impersonation on my part, but you get the idea. The gameplay, the world, the art direction, it just absolutely makes an incredible difference and does something that just raw graphical power can't do. I mean, this makes these games infinitely replayable, whereas, Battlefield 5, I haven't touched that in a long time, especially since it's a game, it's an online multiplayer game. It's a multiplayer shooter. It was fun, but I fell out of it, my friends fell out of it, and recently DICE and EA have kind of pulled the plug on the live service model that they had going with Battlefield 5. So really, you know, I probably could have waited to pick that up until now. Pick it up for 20, 30 bucks, however much it might be going for right now. I mean, there's no reason to pick it up beforehand. I would have picked up a game that's much more feature complete and wouldn't have bought it for $60 on the promise that, oh, hey, look, we're going to keep updating and supporting this. I wouldn't have done that anyways. I picked it up because a bunch of my friends were going to be playing it, and I liked playing with my friends. But multiplayer just sucks. Anyways, I'm diverging from the point. Point is, gameplay and the art direction trump graphics just about every time, and I would wager that it trumps that every time for about 80-90% of the game playing public. I mean, other examples: Fallout New Vegas, heralded as one of the greatest Fallout games. Bethesda was the publisher, but the original creators of Fallout were the studio behind this, or at least, a lot of the creative leads and design team were the ones behind this, and they had the staff necessary that followed and embodied that same spirit and brought that all to Fallout New Vegas. It still runs on the same engine as Fallout 3 did, but they made this game so visually distinct, and it had that wit and charm and that dark sense of humor that just encompasses what is Fallout. And they would later bring that on to The Outer Worlds, another game that does not have the raw graphical horsepower. It doesn't absolutely push the Xbox One to its limits, but it's a beautiful, vibrant, distinct game, and the gameplay is just so much damn fun. And it has a great deal of replayability, even though once the campaign's over, it's over. You have to go back and start a whole new game, and I have done that a couple of times now. It's just that good. The art is that good. It's beautiful, and it's distinct from a lot of these shooter games. The Battlefield 1, Battlefield 2, Call of Duty, all the others that just came out in that washing tide of first-person shooter games, those military shooter games that came out, just washed out gray tones, brown tones, just this dull, drab, lifeless kind of setting, this uber gritty, ultra realistic kind of setting. Something with that pop and flair and color just really comes out at you, and to go along with that, is a blending of the best of both worlds in this case. Monster Hunter World pushed a lot of graphical horsepower there. It was definitely a game that just really maximized its graphical settings on the engine for whatever consoles you're playing it on, but it's also so visually distinct. It doesn't look like anything else, and the environments, oh my god. If you haven't played this game, I certainly recommend you pick it up. It's beautiful, and the gameplay is incredible too. I mean, you are a badass monster hunter, but holy crap, if you don't pay attention to the attack patterns of the monsters, if you're not geared up and kitted out properly, they will just tear you apart instantly. And even when you are kitted out properly, even when you are paying attention, some of the end game monsters, the slightest slip up and you will be just mincemeat right before them. I mean, it's incredible, and the game is so much damn fun. It is so beautiful to look at, and it does push that graphical horsepower there. But again, the other two things I do believe trump the graphics there. And for myself, Final Fantasy Tactics, it's definitely not... I don't know that this one's on anybody's radar much anymore, but it doesn't push the limits of graphical horsepower at all, and certainly it pales in comparison to contemporary games. But the gameplay and the art direction and also the story behind it, I love all of that. And I again would wager that most of the game playing public feels the same way. So do graphics matter? Not particularly. I mean, if that's what you like, if that's what you want to go for, then for you that'll matter. But I think distinct art direction and gameplay absolutely trump graphics every single time. Because if you have something that pops and is distinct and it fits with the tone and the setting that you're going for, even if that setting's just a racing game, if you have something that looks different from everybody else and in a way that makes sense and it all fits and it's tied together, well, then the graphics don't quite matter so much. If you want to maximize the graphical power that you have in your game that pushes the engine and whatever system you're running it on, then fantastic, do that. You can. I mean, Monster Hunter World is proof of that. But the gameplay and graphics will beat it. Or, sorry, not the graphics. The art direction and the gameplay will beat the graphics every single time. But that's just my take. I certainly think it's a well-founded, well-reasoned take. But, discuss it down in the comments below. Let's see what we can keep going here. If we can keep this discussion there. I do think there's a larger discussion to be had. Certainly there are other games out there that push graphics to such a level that are absolutely incredible games. But then you also have things like the Borderlands series, which use those cel-shaded graphics. And again, nothing that pushes hardware super hard, but it's visually distinct and it has that flair and the gameplay is incredible. So, jump in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. I'd be happy to talk it over with you. Other than that, with that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all for your time. You folks have yourselves a good night.